my story is back in 2020, the FBI showed up at our home and said that we had been red listed, basically meaning that there was a hit on us from the Iranian regime and that we needed to be careful. That's the way they left it. So fast forward, go into the presidential election. We get another sit down that the Iranians are trying to influence the campaign against us.
Well, for the first one, it was more overseas, right?
Right.
That they were concerned about.
They were just saying, if you travel, be careful when you travel, make
Right.
sure that you're safe, let us know if you're traveling, all of those things. Once we got into the presidential campaign, there was a moment. I take care of my parents. They live in our home. And we had a swatting incident. And I wasn't home. And here, all of a sudden, from these foreign actors doing this swatting incident, you have 20 law enforcement officers, guns blazing, pointed at our home. My dad has cancer. He
is almost 90 or over 90
90
at this
years
point.
old. And they're telling them to hold their hands up. And I'm not there. And so that's not the only swatting instance.
Well,
we had multiple.
To put a finer point on that, they believed that there was someone with a gun in the house, so they went in armed, ready to act.
It was a swatting instance where they called and said, there is someone getting ready to shoot someone else in that house.
Right.
And so they came in, guns blazing, all of that. My poor parents, 87 and 90, didn't know what was going on. And that happened. Those multiple times happened. Then, Cheney, you remember this, during the election, at every single rally, we had the most violent Iranian-Palestinian protests. Mm-hmm. It was scary.
Yes.
They were screaming, they were yelling, they were hitting our campaign staff, all that. We begged.
It was unhinged. I mean, you could not get them to calm down. Law enforcement couldn't get them to calm down.
West Coast, East Coast.
Property owners couldn't get them out of private property.
And they were violent. Yes. I mean, that was the worst part. And it got to the point we begged for Secret Service to help us. They wouldn't help us. And it got to the point, I remember at the end, we had almost 8 to 10 security guys that we had to hire from the campaign on top of the law enforcement that was already there because it was that big. So those happened.
And a lot of them, I have to say, were American kids who had been influenced by this propaganda.
Yep. And paid to do it.
Right.
And it was just, if you hadn't seen it, and those that were at my rallies, they knew. I remember one rally, parents were leaving because they were worried for their kids.
Yep.
And that's when I knew this has gone too far. So then we go off after the suspension. We are, home we're in Greenville with Rena, my daughter. And my husband and I are helping them with their house. And I get a call from law enforcement. And they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "I'm with Rena. We're in Greenville." And they said, "Stay there. We're coming." They flew to us. They came and they sat down and they said, "There has been a threat." And basically, it was a murder for hire threat on me. So the murder for hire threat you hear about Donald Trump, I was the other person named in that. Authorities arrested a Pakistani citizen, Asif Merchant, in July. The Iranian authorities went to him, told them they would pay him money if he would get gang members or mob members to assassinate us. The goal, once they got us assassinated, he was going off. He was going to go off with his family. But Iran has long wanted to assassinate officials. Now, the FBI comes back to me and says, be careful. That's all they ever say is be careful, even though these murder for hire plots are there. And I'll just say, when a government official serves our country and fights to defend it against the enemies, you want to know you're okay. So here my kids know this plot was there. My husband knows this plot's there. My staff knows this plot's there. And it's just a way of life now, knowing that this could happen. And conservatives have criticized the Biden administration for not doing enough publicly to condemn Iran and what they're doing to hurt American citizens. And it's not just about me. What I worry about is, what are they willing to do to the American public?